Hey Paul, it's Kimberlee. I've thought a lot about what you had to say on Tuesday, and here are my thoughts. First of all, you asked if I think unconditional love applies only between a parent and child. That's a tricky one. I do think it is possible for unconditional love, to exist in other relationships, like between family and friends, but I also think it's harder to achieve. I mean, look at Mother Teresa. She loved unconditionally and selflessly for years. She kind of already proved it can be done. The thing that makes it hard is being selfless. Unconditional love, by nature, is selfless. And we, by nature, are a selfish species. Like the book The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins talks about. We aim for self-preservation in relationships, to avoid being hurt. We forget the lesson that Mother Teresa taught through her example, that all of us are people, deserving of unconditional love. All humankind is one and the same. You also asked me when we as parents are no longer responsible for influencing the saboteurs and sages in our children. I believe we will always influence our children's saboteurs and sages, at least as long as we have viable relationships with them. Whenever your children confide in you, seek your advice, or even just tell you about their day, they are allowing you a voice at their personal table, inside their head. So technically, you can always be a superhero and strengthen their inner sages. Or you can back up their inner saboteurs, which hopefully you aren't doing intentionally. And by the way, it's formative, not formidable.
In our formidable years.
Oh man, I don't know why I find that so funny. So anyway, I've been reading lately this book, The One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan, and it has been blowing my mind. Mind blown. I haven't finished it yet, but there's just so much good stuff in there. This book is written so simply, and it's so easy to implement. I've already noticed things that I've internalized and started acting upon just in my daily life. Seriously. So this book is broken into 3 parts. Part 1, the lies. Part 2, the truth. And Part 3, extraordinary results. Part 1, the lies, focuses on common misconceptions that prevent us from being successful. There are 6 points in Part 1, but I'm just going to focus on 2 of them because these are the 2 that stood out to me the most. Partially because I do them all the time. All the time. 1. I believe that everything matters equally, and that's a lie. So I would go about my day thinking that everything on my to-do list had equal value, and it didn't matter which one I did first or what order I did them in, because as long as I was getting most of them or all of them done, then I was being really productive and highly successful. The reality is, that's just not true. There are some things that need to be prioritized over others. For instance, is vacuuming my floors as important as, say, paying the bills? Usually not. But I enjoy vacuuming more than paying bills, so I do that first, and I push off the more pressing issues till later. Then I justify my actions by looking at all the things that I got done that day, and I tell myself everything I didn't get done, I'll do tomorrow. The problem with this is, eventually you run out of tomorrows. And then, instead of being ahead of the game like you thought you were, you're just rushing to catch up. And this leads to the other misconception that I've been living on a regular basis, or at least I was until recently, and that's multitasking. I have always thought that I was a great multitasker, and I am, especially when it comes to folding laundry or doing my nails while watching my favorite TV show. Except that it takes me twice as long to finish folding my laundry when I'm watching my TV show, so I end up watching more of my TV show and spending longer folding laundry than I normally would. Keller and Papasan break it down like this. And yes, I know I'm saying his name the way you'd say it in Japanese. I just can't help it. So they explain that multitasking is actually cognitively impossible. I need like a prop. Ha. Ha. So think about a juggler. When a juggler is throwing balls, I only have one. When they're tossing, they are thinking of the hand that is tossing, and then they shift focus to the hand that is catching. They're not actually tossing and catching at the same time. This is the way our brain works. When we're trying to multitask, we are thinking about two tasks, but we can't really have them both at the forefront of our mind at the same time. So just like a juggler with its ball, we shift focus from task A to task B. When we do this, we lose focus on that task. So when we switch back to task A, we have to backtrack to where we can remember leaving off. It's not productive, it's not effective, and it's mentally exhausting. So really, instead of effectively accomplishing two things at the same time, we're really just getting two things sort of done okay at the same time, or we're getting one thing done really well, and the other thing is really not getting done at all. I could talk about this book forever, but let's hear what you have to say, Paul. So here are my questions for you. What lie or lies in part 1 jumped out to you the most? What part of this book has impacted your daily life? I look forward to hearing your response on Tuesday. Happy weekend!